Namaste, Jai Bharati. Anthropocentric is a concept, anthropocentric, which should imply being man centered or man centric, etc. But man centeredness has two dimensions, and both one is desirable, another one is not desirable. Same concept, but in these two different dimensions. Let's see. One is a mundane dimension, another one I would call as the transcendental level of dimension of the same concept, anthropocentric, man-centeredness. Now, let us see on the mundane plane. On a in Bharatiya Darshana, it is on a vyavaharik level. That is a perception. That's a perception which looks at the entire world from the eyes of man only. That kind of man-centeredness, where primacy is given to man. Man in the sense human being. Don't create the gender complications, because these days these gender complications crisscross and create many subtle difficulties. We don't mean by saying man, we don't mean exclusive man, human. We call it as man-centeredness. That is your worldview, where man is kept in the middle and in the center, and then looking whatever around. Now, this worldview of man-centeredness has a theological background. Though it's mundane, it has a theological background. The theory of creation in the Semitic religions speak of everything as created by a concept of God. And the creation as a series. Many things are created, everything is created, and then ultimately, the theory goes saying like this: ultimately, man was created. Man becomes the last and final creation, and it is said that God created man in his own image. Now, this puts man in the middle of everything, in the center of everything. This gives man a kind of primacy which no other being in the cosmos can claim, where man is by default superior to all other things. So this one kind of man-centeredness, keeping man in the center of everything, cosmos, and then looking at it and dealing. Now, interestingly, God created man in his own image. Much later, the French, if I'm not wrong, the French materialist Ludwig Feuerbach, he spoke the opposite, said the opposite. He says, God concept is created by man. What man does, he minuses all drawbacks that he finds in man to create an image of a perfect human, the maximum possible perfect human, which he calls as God is a self-esteem of man, which would imply at once that God is created by man in man's own image. Now, these are the two theories in front of us. One, the Semitic theology, which says God created man in his own image, etc. Now, this will put man in the middle, as I've told you, and gives him primacy, superiority, and authority on all other living beings. Somewhere, the God has told men that, see, I have created everything for you to use, AB in bracket, use and abuse. That I am adding, for you to use the nature. What happened? Those who were strengthened by this theology were using the world, abusing the world, everything, with the nature, the resources, without any real concern, without any consciousness, or without being conscientious. I just used. You call it as exploitation, etc. So now the balance in nature became shaky. Now that's one thing. Then is another kind of man-centeredness. This comes in the level of religions. The religion, we don't call Bharatiya dharmas as a religion, but for want of another term, the religions of Bharat, they are called man-centered religions, and the Semitic religion is called God-centered religion. The primacy in that religion is to God, and in Bharatiya dharmas, the primacy is to man. Now I'll just pick up one example to make this explicit. Look at the concept of salvation in Semitic religion. See, the end objective or the desideratum of human existence is, in Hindu dharma or Bharatiya dharma, is liberation. We call it as moksha, we call it as kaivalya in Jainism, we call it as nirvana in Buddhism, and and Sikhism, moksha. They are concepts akin to one another, not really different. And then when it goes to Christianity, it is salvation. Now these two concepts, if you take, how does one receive this? There's no one word which can stand for both these different religions. That's two different tradition of religions. That's one problem. I will use the separate words only. How to attain moksha and how to attain salvation. Salvation, the concept represents the Semitic religions. Moksha, the concept represents Bharatiya dharmas. So in Semitic tradition, salvation can't be attained purely by the effort of man alone. It has to be granted. It has to be given. In the infinite mercy of a God Almighty, they have a concept of a God. It's a personal God. God is a person. And things happen in His infinite mercy, and He is also the creator God. So it is given. Now here, technically speaking, no matter how good your life had been, until God wishes, you cannot get salvation. Simple. Now when it comes to Bharatiya dharmas, the God has no role. You earn moksha through your efforts. There are many methods also to earn moksha. Multiple ways are there, more than one, and you are free to create your own methods to attain moksha. That's also there. Here God has no role. So here man earns his moksha. It becomes his right. He works towards it and he earns. It becomes your right. Whereas salvation is not your right. It is granted. Now, this example I gave to make clear how Semitic religions are God-centered and how Bharatiya dharmas are man-centered. Here, man is given importance. Humans, they do everything. And again, human is nowhere superior. On the previous beings anthropocentric, on the previous mundane sense, man is not superior to anything at all. He is not anything special. In Bharatiya dharmas, man is not anything special. Every life is equal, this way or the other. And man has no special claim until he is self-realized, becomes a pure soul, becomes a liberated one, a Jivan Mukta here itself. Then of course he is a special kind of thing. But otherwise there is no difference between this being and that being. They both are living beings, and that's it. The Jains go deep into it. They honor everything is same. That's why the Jains uphold ahimsa, not to, in a very serious manner, not to kill any other living being. So here of course someone would make a mistake saying that this of course goes to a different level, but still I'll just speak just few lines. Vegetarianism, non-vegetarianism. Simple. The very simple juxtaposing dichotomy is that if you kill living beings and eat living beings, then you're non-veg, and if you don't kill and eat, then you're a veg. This is how people try to understand, but that's really not the case. For Bharat, there is no vegetarian, non-vegetarian difference. It is Satvika, Rajasvika, Tamasika distinctions, and the food that you take, when it creates Satvika qualities in you, it is Satvika food. Rajasvika qualities in you, then it is Rajasvika food, and Tamasika qualities in you, then it is Tamasika food, and that's all. So the concept is different. Veg, non-veg, and the Triguna concept, they are different. I'm not going into that. I'm just trying to say only one point. Man-centered, God-centered. When it comes to religion, Semitic religions are God-centered, so God is supreme and authority. You have to blindly obey Him, that's it. And God is a male person, very authoritative. So, in the Semitic texts, you will find the concept of wrath, W-R-A-T-H, wrath of God. Be careful. So, one has to be God-fearing, one has to be obedient, one has to follow whatever God says, whether it is acceptable to his rationality or not, is just ruled out. Then, in the mercy of God, He must grant you salvation. But on the other hand, in any Bharatiya dharmas, moksha has to be earned through your whatever work. You don't have to please a God. And of course, obviously the God is not a person, though they talk about Creator God at one level for people's understanding. That's a narrative created, which is not really the core of Bharatiya Dharma thoughts. The core of Bharatiya Dharma thoughts are absolutely philosophical, where there's no concept of Creator at all. Of course, the Jains would outrightly, right in the beginning, they refuse the concept of Creator. So, anthropocentric, being man-centered, at the level of religions, is more scientific, more desired. And being man-centeredness in your perspective as a living organism in the cosmos, supposed to be coexisting with all other living beings, is unscientific. That gives a spurious supremacy to man, where man goes out to exploit and destroy the very subtle balance of the nature. So these are the two interesting variations or versions of the anthropocentric concept or the concept of something being anthropocentric or man-centeredness. At two different levels, they mean diagonally different, and at one place it is desired and it's desirable, and at another place it's absolutely not desirable, which would put you in a vicious circle. So till we meet again, coming with another kind of thought, we will meet. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.